For months, people have expected the Acolyte to be one of the most divisive things we've seen in Star Wars. And for a franchise that has things like The Last Jedi or the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, that's saying a lot. We've had a lot of things in the past decade that's driven fans crazy, that's made people upset, that's made them walk away from the franchise that they once loved, because it's no longer George Lucas's Star Wars. It is Disney's Star Wars. And instead of putting out great, compelling stories with awesome characters, instead the focus has been on diversity and representation, tearing down the past in order to build up these new characters. Well, now we're almost there for the Acolyte. Leslye Headland, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant, and her best bud Kathleen Kennedy are about to put out the Acolyte. And considering the reaction we've seen before it even came out, the first teaser we got ended up being the most disliked trailer in Star Wars history. 700,000 dislikes to only 200,000 likes. That is absolutely pathetically bad. It tells you where the energy's at right now. And now, with the comments surrounding this, you can see the damage control is already starting before the show even comes out. We're used to Star Wars throwing fans under the bus when they don't watch something or don't like something. Well, you're just bigots, you're just homophobes, you're just racist, blah, blah, blah. Well, now all that shit is starting before people have even seen this show and had a chance to judge for themselves how bad it actually is. The words that came from Kathleen Kennedy the other day, basically blaming any and all backlash at the male-dominated fan base. Well, you know, they're just sexist men. They just don't like women. Yeah, that must be why, I don't know, Rian Johnson got so much hate. All those men just hate women creators, don't they? Oh, that must be it. It can't possibly be because they don't like the product that they put out. These characters that get criticism, it can't possibly be because they're perceived to be bad characters. It has to be racism or sexism or blah, blah, blah. Well, now Leslye Headland is jumping on that train as well, already putting this message out that, hey, you know what? If you don't like some of these characters we're going to force down your throat, well, you're not really a Star Wars fan. Leslye Headland declares people opposed to wokeness are not Star Wars fans. And it all comes from the same article where Kathleen Kennedy's basically quoted as saying, you know what, that we have so many women that have a tough time entering the Star Wars space because it's male dominated and they get attacked so personally by these terrible men. Leslye Headland had a couple things to say as well, and I want to get to these quotes. The Acolyte showrunner Leslye Headland also weighed in on the toxic bashing she's seen from supposed fans, both against herself and others in Star Wars. While Headland can agree, there have been some things that have been frustrating told in the franchise, she can't understand those who focus their complaints on the diversity of the cast or creators. Look at this quote. As a fan myself, I know how frustrating some Star Wars storytelling in the past has been. Yeah, please tell me what's been frustrating to you. Is it Disney Star Wars? Or maybe was it the prequels? Maybe you one of those people that have a massive problem with the prequels. I don't know. I'd love for you to say something rather than just a blanket statement that doesn't say shit. Kind of like when you were asked what your favorite Star Wars movie was and you couldn't answer. You said, I love all the Star Wars. Jesus. Headland then went on to note, I felt it myself. I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans, but I want to be clear. Anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan. You know, that wouldn't be like, if this was 20 years ago. 20 years ago when you said something like that, it'd be like, well, yeah, obviously. Obviously, that's not the kind of thing you want in your fandom. But it's a little bit different nowadays. The reason? Because if you don't like a character and they happen to be black, you get called a racist. If you have a problem with people shoving their fucking agendas into all these characters, then you're a bigot. You're a homophobe. You're a racist. That's what they're saying. That has been the message. We saw it with the Moses Ingram backlash. When Star Wars, the official Star Wars Twitter account, when Ewan McGregor, when all these people came out there to essentially condemn any of the criticism against Moses Ingram as just because she's black, you terrible fans out there. We don't want fans like that. And this is what they're doing. They're setting the stage for there to be this massive backlash because the show, in all likelihood, is probably going to be shit. When you hire Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant who declares that they really want to make sure that the show reflects their own queer identity, and then you hear things like, oh, by the way, we are going to include this lesbian leader of this cult of witches. Okay, got it. Oh, by the way, we're going to cast a transgender person. Oh, by the way, your lesbian wife, she's going to play one of the main characters. and all you hear from the cast and crew is all about virtue signaling and representation and identity politics, yes, this is why they're setting the stage. This is why Kathleen Kennedy's out there blaming men. This is why Leslye Headland's out there. You know, for anybody that's one of these things, I don't really consider you a fan. It's because they know that this show is not made for Star Wars fans. It's made for activists. That's who Leslye Headland is. That's who everyone in the writer's room is. Even in this big New York Times interview where she gives that quote, she admits that she hired somebody that had no idea what Star Wars was just because it was a female and it was a person of color. Isn't that strange how that works? This thing, we've known it for a long time. It's setting up to be a shit show, but the fact that they're already getting out before the show even comes out and essentially throwing fans under the bus is very, very telling. Let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.